Welcome back. We are still treating president-elect and the tax ahead. That takes me to another question, Uncle Jide. So we are making progress in this conversation. So do you think the president-elect can remove fuel subsidy enjoyed mainly by urban dwellers and possible reactions?
Well, what I don't know, probably the audience and those that are watching from home will help us. I don't even know whether we have subsidy or not. We don't have subsidy. Because when President Muhammad Buhari was still a private citizen and he was in the opposition, we have it on tape where he said that there is no subsidy. That any government that said they are paying subsidy is deceiving Nigerians. And then don't forget that the APC government was founded on the protest that happened in 2012 across Nigeria, and particularly in Ojota, where the Save Nigerian group, where they said that when Jonathan removed some element of the subsidy. So as far as I'm concerned, we don't even really know whether we are paying subsidy because one, we have supra institutions that are bigger than the state, institutions like NNPC. There's no transparency. Nobody knows how NNPC operates. Nobody knows how much NNPC remits back. Nobody even knows the amount of money we are paying for subsidy. And then nobody even knows where the money for subsidy is coming from because from the annual appropriation bill that turns to annual appropriation act, we have never seen provisions for subsidy. So we don't even know where subsidy is coming from. So it's more or less like abracadabra. The more you see, the less you know. Probably let me relate to the younger generation.
The more you look, the less you see.
Let me relate to the younger generation. Probably we should send for Rexy or we should send for Wizkid. So because it's quite unclear to me with respect to fuel subsidy. Now, on that, should they remove it? Well, they've removed subsidy on kerosene, which affect the common man. They removed subsidy on diesel. They said removal of subsidy would bring about, will force down the price. What has happened to all of those?
All of those, Chris.
It has skyrocketed. It has. So if now Nigeria is a monoproduct economy, my advice to the president-elect is for him to stay action and study for 3 months what could be done to address this problem. We don't need rocket science to have subsidy. We don't need rocket science to have refinery in Nigeria. Why all the money they've been using for subsidy, why do they not use it to establish a refinery?
Even build a new one or repair.
No, to establish it, to build a new refinery. You don't need rocket science. But in Nigeria, only God.
And this so-called subsidy entering into individual hands. Nobody, like you said earlier, nobody knows how
it's round tripping. You don't have an actual figure. Nobody can give the actual figure.
Yes.
Nobody can give the actual figure of what we spend on subsidy. Nobody can give you the actual figure of the amount of crude oil that we pump daily. There's no record. And you know the interesting thing, I've told Nigerians are people that love praying. But you know the unfortunate thing is that prayer does not solve all problems. Because God said walk and pray. And God is a God of data. That's why he named a book the book of Numbers.
Yes.
If Numbers is not so important, God will not name a book the book of Numbers. But we are a society that does not love numbers. A society that does not love numbers, a society that believes in the personality of God and jettison the principle of God. There is two dimensions to God.
Yeah.
There is the personality of God. There is the principle of God. When the rain wants to fall, it falls on everybody. There are principles. As long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest time shall not cease. Yes. It's the law of causation. It's the law of cause and effect. Now, so you can't break that. It's the second law established by God. The first law is the law of let everything produce after its time. Right. So Nigerians will go and pray on Monday morning. No, there's no amount of prayer I pray. If we put corn, here, it will not grow.
Never.
It will never. We pray, we fast, we do everything. But if we take that corn and we go outside and we plant it on the soil, it will grow. Those are principle.
Okay, how can the president-elect fund security, infrastructures, education and health without borrowing?
Now, what we need to do is to reduce the cost of governance.
Yeah.
One of the things, I'm not a lawyer, it's a lawyer that quote that cites section of the Constitution. Yeah. But there's a section of 1999 Constitution as amended that said that every state must have a minister. Must we have 36 ministers? Now, must we have, apart from those 36 ministers, must you have special advisors? I'm of
That
the
follow
opinion
them.
that we need to reduce the cost of governance.
Governance.
Now, if you look at the convoy of an average governor, and look at the convoy of a president, and you look at the convoy of their commissioners, Nigeria, a state should not have more than 10 commissioners. Nigeria should not have maximum, not more than 18 ministers, 10 commissioners. And I think we need to amend that constitution. And that's the challenge I'm putting before the 10th assembly that will be inaugurated in June as soon as the president-elect is sworn into office. Is for us to reduce, once we reduce the cost of governance, then we have money to do some of the things which we want to do. We have a lot of agencies. I ask you this question. What is the essence of this agency of Oga at the top?
They are doing the same thing.
And then you have custom, you have
Their
police,
jobs are being
you have
replicated.
DSS, you have Ministry of Intelligence. You know what's the difference between Ministry of Transport and Ministry of Aviation? I'm asking you.
Oh.
Ministry of Transport and Ministry of Aviation.
It's not the same.
What is aviation? What is transport?
Oh. So really.
What's the essence of Minister of Water Resources? And then you have Agric. What do you use? Irrigation is part of Agric. So the Ministry of Water Resources and Agric should be merged together. That of aviation and transportation should be merged together. What's the essence of Ministry of Petroleum and Niger Delta and the rest of you have Ministry of Energy. Energy will take care of both power, both fossil fuel, but all of that. So that's, you know, that Ministry of Energy, you are talking about electricity, you are talking about fossil fuel, that's petroleum, you are talking about, and all of that, you merge all of that. But you know, you must create jobs for the boys. The boys must have jobs. And that's why if we don't reduce wastages, we cannot fund government. For us to fund this government, we must reduce wastages. The number of people feeding on the government is too much.
Too much.
It's too much. It's too much.
I agree that, like you mentioned, they want to create a job for people, but then it's really too much. There are other things they could. There are so many of the government agencies that they were abandoned. If you want to create a job, for instance, for this water board that we running before, create job, this railway, employ. They will know that this is what you're going to focus. It's part of the infrastructure.
Exactly.
And so we'll be able to create not this one that are doing almost the same thing.
You know,
they are replicating their duties and their obligations.
You know, the business of government is to regulate and create an environment where businesses can thrive.
Exactly.
Now, once we provide security, you see, any nation that really wants to grow, the first thing you need to do is to have a comprehensive agrarian policy. Invest heavily in agriculture, reduce the cost of living. Once you reduce cost of living, then the capacity of people to save is increased.
Yes.
And then the capacity of people to save creates credit from the bank. And people can approach the bank to get loan, to start small, medium enterprise, small, medium scale enterprise. Because it is enterprise that grows the economy. It is not ministries and agencies. It is not ministries, department and agencies of government. But in Nigeria, we think that it is ministries, department and agency of government that grows the economy. No, it is small, medium scale enterprise. And that can only happen if you have a comprehensive agrarian policy that reduces the cost of living, that reduces the cost of food, and then reduce inflation, and then people can save. And because people can save, people can have access to credit. And because people can have access to credit, they become innovative, they become creative, and then we have the innovative and creative economy.
And I'll take a break now. Vivid View.
Safe and good.
This is Vivid View.